Welcome to the channel, Science Cafe. Here we make everything science, technology, engineering, and mathematics easy to comprehend, assimilate, fun, and entertaining. Today we are treating simple and compound interest. This is a part of financial arithmetic or mathematics. Basic parts. Where we do the mathematics on money, on finances. And you know, money it affects everybody, everything. So, I'm going to use simple and compound interest today. Well, if you have done it before, this one is just to make it very simple. Something you can even do without even using pen or pressing calculator. And I can assure you at the end of the class, you will find it very interesting. Before we go on into the real manipulation of figures or calculation, I would like us to look into some terminology. And these are principal. When we talk about principal, this is the actual amount invested, either loan or invested. Initial amount, loan or invested. When you talk about interest, you calculate interest on the amount that somebody invests or the amount somebody borrows. Now, because when you are borrowing, the other person is investing. Let's put it that way. Another terminology we look at is interest. Interest. This is the amount that accrues on the principal after certain time or duration. The next thing you should look at is interest rates. You can see they are different now. The interest rate is always expressed in percentage. That is the proportion by which the principal will increase per certain time. Proportion of increase or growth of the principal per specific period or duration. Please, I wish you understand this now. It's a rate of growth, rate of increase by which the principal will grow to give us the interest. The reason why I wrote specific period is it can be per month, it can be per annum, it can be per semi-annual, whatever. That is why I wrote specific time. And it is always expressed in percentage. The next thing now is the amount. In simple terms, amount will be the total that the principal will become after a certain duration. Amount recouped, recovered due to the growth of principal. That is the whole thing. No amount is left behind. So that is the difference between amount and the interest. When you remove the interest, principal stays behind. But when you remove the amount, you take the total money, everything. So most times, sometimes, so it is totality of interest plus principal. let us know how to handle the whole thing. Once we handle this initial terminology, everything becomes very simple. Very, very simple. Now let's go on to start with the simple interest. Now, in simple interest, what happens is that the amounts increase by specific, rates. It doesn't change over years. The amounts, the principal remains the same all through. That is the thing about simple interest. How do I mean? For simple interest, when you have principal, interest rate, interest rate, and T for time. The reason why I said the principal will remain constant is this. When we want to calculate the interest, I, we always do it by multiplying principal times time times rate. And because this rate is in percentage, that's why we always make it over 100. That is the reason. If it is in decimal fraction or whatever, we put it straight. But since we always put it in percentage, that's why we make it over 100. Why I said the principal remains the same all through is this. If it is in other situation, the way we use the principal is it might be increasing, it might be reducing. But because this one is simple interest, it will be the same all through. So if you are calculating for the first year, it will just be I principal times 1 times rate over 100. That is just for 1 year. If it is for 2 years, principal times 2 times rate over 100. And in another situation, you don't calculate it in this simple way. That's why we call it simple interest. So with this, even if it's after 10 years, 10 years times 10 times rate over 100. And what does that mean? It means that the amount A for A1 now, it will be equal to P plus I1. You can see A2, that is after 2 years, P plus I2, like we did here. And if you look at this, they are increasing in certain rates. The principal still remains the same all through. For A10, and you know, I2 is 2 times I1, I10 is 10 times I1. So that is the thing about simple interest. The simple interest. So this I, when in the basic way, you calculate the I separately. And then to find the amount after a certain time, you add the interest to the initial principal. That's all. That is all. So if you look at this one now, I2 is equal to 2 I1. Or I1 plus I1. I10 is equal to 10 I1. So you can see how simple it is. That's why we refer to it as simple interest. We have learned how to calculate the interest. We have learned how to calculate the amount after a certain time. You understand? Sometimes the interest rate can be in months, per month, can be semi-annually, quarterly. And then just break it down and you get your total distance straight. So that is all for simple interest. Now let's go to compound interest. Now let's look into compound interest. The same thing, we have the same terminology, principal, interest, rates, and amounts. But in compound interest, that's why we call it compound. The principal will be compounding with the interest after the lapse of time. How do I mean? You know in simple interest, we calculated interest by saying I equals principal times time times rate over 100. In simple interest. That is, for the whole time. But in compound interest, when the time lapses, the interest that grows on it, you add to the principal for the next duration. How do I mean? For compound interest now, we have the rate per annum. We first of all calculate the rate for the first year. That is I equals principal times time times rate over 100. That is it. If it ends at that first year, the total amount we have at this time A is going to be P principal plus interest. That is the amount. If I want to recover my old, investments after that time, I can just, harvest it like that. But if I am to let it continue, you know what happens? This A1 now becomes my new principal. It becomes my new principal. Do you understand? So, for the next growth now, for the next duration, the interest now. So, the new interest now, this is the first interest. The second interest is going to be P new times time times R over 100. You see? But note one thing. I don't need to be putting T again. I don't need to be putting T again. Because every time, at every lapse of the time, I will have to be calculating the new principal. And then, by adding the previous interest rate. So this is it. Principal times rate over 100. That is for the first one. So, for the next one, after this one, let me go down P2. It's going to be A1 plus this one now. I2. You can see, I know what I2 is. It's equal to this A1, because I don't want to use P new again. Because P new is equal to A1 plus A1 R over 100. So you can see, the initial P is this. The initial one is this. So after the lapse of the first duration, that is A1, the total amount is this. For compound interest, you have to be calculating the amount to be the next principal for the next duration. That is the difference now. And you can see that if you have to calculate for 10 years, you have to be doing it over and over and over and over again. So, in mathematics, we always try to find a way out to do it once. So we don't go through the rigor of calculating one by one. So, that is why you will compare simple interest to arithmetic progression and compound interest to geometric progression. Let's see how it is. So you can see this one now. I believe you understand it now. Now, just for clarity, let's solve this simple question. It says, calculate the amount due after investing 100,000 naira for 3 years at the rate of 10% in simple interest and compound interest. Let's see how it goes. For the first one, in simple interest, the interest can be calculated straight once and for all. For the 3 years, interest is equal to principal times time times rate over 100. And that is going to be 100,000 times 3 times 10 over 100. So what does that give us? It gives 30,000 naira. That is the interest. Amount is equal to principal plus interest. That is how it is done in simple interest. You do the amount after calculating the interest. And that is going to be 100,000 plus 30,000. And that gives us 130,000 naira. So which means that if somebody has invested 100,000 naira for 3 years at the rate of 10%, after 3 years, this is what is going to collect, 130,000. Now let's see what happens if the amount is invested in compound interest. Now, just to explain what I said initially, after every lapse of the duration of the rate, we have to change the principal. Let's see. For the first time, we know that the principal is equal to 100,000 naira. So what will be the interest? I is equal to principal times rate over 100. Because it has to be changed every end of the year. So this is going to be 100,000 times 10 over 100. So that gives us 10,000 naira. So A, the first year, is going to be 100,000 plus 10,000 naira. That gives us 110,000 naira. So this amount will now become the principal of the following year. You understand? So we are now going to make that to either P1 or we continue with A1. So let's make it like this. A1 equals to P1 because we take this one as P0, the initial principal. So A1 equals to P1. So the next interest, I will equal to P1R over 100. Please take note. R remains the same. And that's going to be 110 times 10 over 100. See, so it's going to be this. And that's going to be 11,000 naira. So what does that imply? It means that the new amount at the end of the second year is going to be P1 plus, let's call this one I1 please. I1. And that's going to be 110,000 plus 11,000. And that gives us 121,000. You can see. So we show that at the end of the second year, the interest, the new interest on the new amount was 11,000. Now you can see that after 2 years, the total interest is 121,000 minus 100,000. That gives us 21,000. The total interest after 2 years. But we noted that the principal is changing at the end of the time duration specified to the rate. I told you initially it can be per month, can be quarterly, can be semi-annually. Now let's go to the third year. The amount after the second year becomes the principal for the third year. And that will now be. So let's calculate the interest that will give us the amount for the third year. So the amount after the second year becomes the principal for the third year. Just like the initial principal becomes the principal for the first year. Now we are going to have I now. The interest for the third year to be equal to 121,000 times 10 over 100. So what do I have? I have, and that is going to be 12,100. You can see. So basically now, the amount after the third year is going to be equal to this amount, 121 plus 12,100. And what does that give? 133, sorry, 100. So in this instance, you can see the difference. When we use simple interest, the interest for simple interest total interest equals 30,000 naira. Now for compound interest, total interest, because it is accruals, it accrues to this amount. You know, we are calculating it at every end of the tenure. Total interest is equal to 33,100. So you can see the difference now. For simple interest, after first year, the interest will be the same. But after the second year, third year, the interest will be the duration because the principal is changing. Now let's look at another way to calculate the amount easily. Because if you have to calculate after 20 years, using this technique, it will take a long time. But let's look at it from another perspective, and let's see how it goes. Now let's look at simple interest and compound interest from the perspective of progression. I mean the amount. The amount in simple interest and compound interest. Let's look at it from the progression perspective. You know, in AP, we talk about the first term as A. First term. Nth term is equal to A plus N minus 1 into D. What happens? Why do we say this? Because D is the same all through. It's increasing with constant difference. Yes, with constant difference. That's why we use D. So, how do I mean? If the principal in AP, in simple interest, is equal to P, you can see interest after 1 year will be equal to principal times 1 times rate over 100, which is PR. So what does that mean? It means that after 1 year, the amount is equal to P plus PR over 100. Yes, we have said this one to be I, which is P plus I. Now let's look at what the amount will be after 2 years. So P plus, okay, interest after 2 years, sorry. Interest after 2 years is equal to P times 2 times R over 100. P is equal to 2PR, 2I. You can see. So, amount after 2 years is equal to P plus 2I. You can see now. So, which means that it will be increasing with constant difference of I. So, which means that after 10 years, after 50 years, after 10 years, amount will be equal to P plus NI. You can see P plus NI. So you can look at it from this perspective that simple interest can be viewed as arithmetic progression. Is increasing with constant rate, constant difference. So yeah, and we know that I is equal to PR over 100. That is the simple way of looking at it. So you can see. So please hold this for, and then I is PR over 100. That is for simple interest. Now let's look at compound interest from the perspective of geometry. What do I call it? So let me write it. Simple interest can be viewed as arithmetic progression. I mean simple interest amount, please. Amount in simple interest. Let me put it again. Amount in simple interest can be viewed as arithmetic progression. So this makes it very easy and fun to handle. Just look at it like that. I is this. After n years, the amount will be this. That's all. Now let's go to compound interest. Now let's look at the amount in compound interest. How it changes. The first year, let's put it like that. Initial amount is principal, And then, after 1 year, the amount will be A is equal to principal plus interest. And you know what interest is? I will be equal to principal times time over principal times rate over 100, sorry. Because you don't need to put time again. Now, this is the amount after the first year. So let me put 1 in. So, this A1 now will now become the new P, which will be called P1. And you know that this one is equal to P plus PR over 100, which is P into 1 plus R over 100. That is it. Now, for the next time, we will calculate the interest. I2 will be equal to Q1 times R over 100. You can see Q1 times R over 100. And this is going to give us P into 1 plus new what do I call it? Interest on the amount, the new amount. So A2 now will now be equal to A1 plus A1 plus, or P1, let me make it like that. P1 plus I2, which should be equal to, what is P1? P into 1 plus R over 100. That is P1. Plus P into 1 plus R over 100 into R 100. That is it. So, when I factorize this, I'm going to have P into 1 plus R over 100 into 1 plus R over 100 again. You see? You see how it records? This is going to give me P into 1 plus R over 100 squared. So you see, this is A2. See A1 into 1 plus R over 100. A2, P plus 1 over 1 plus R over 100 squared. So which means that in this instance, our common ratio is 1 plus R over 100. Just like in GP. You know in GP now, when we have our first term as A, next term will be AR. After that, AR squared. So you can see that the rate, is increasing with common rate R. It's increasing with common rate R. But in this instance, our first term, we call it P. Our next term, we call it P into 1 plus R. The one after that is P plus 1 into 1 plus R over 100 squared. So let's look at this. Amount in what's it called? Compound interest. Will be equal to P, that is the interest. So after 1 year, we are going to have P into 1 plus R over 100. After this one, we are going to have P into 1 plus R over 100 squared. So after n years, we are going to have P into 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n. So you can see, this one, with this, it makes our job very easy. Let us try to do that question using this formula for the compound interest. Now look at this. Let's calculate the amount and interest on 100,000 naira invested in compound interest of 10% for 3 years. Just like this last question. So I want us to use the new formula to get it. I also want you to know that using this formula, the way to calculate the interest is by initially getting the amount. When you want to work on compound interest, not just using this formula. When you want to work on compound interest, for you to get the total interest, you have to first of all get the total amount. That's the best way to get the interest. So let's see. For this one now, you know that amount after n year is going to be principal into 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n. In this instance, for the first one, you know P to be equal to 100,000 naira. R 10%, n equal to 3. So A is going to be, after 20 is going to be 100,000 into 1 plus 10 over 100 raised to power 3. And that's going to be 100,000 into 1.1 raised to power 3. So what does that give? And that gives me 1, 3, 3. over and over and over again, the answer is gotten straight. That's the joy of mathematics. The shortest time and unnecessary labor. Now let's look at it. If it is after 5 years, we'll see. 100. Let's see what that gives us. That gives us 161. So interest. So you can see it's now made simple. So it's very easy, and by the time you watch it once or twice, you get it. Thank you very much for following to this extent. Kindly subscribe, share, comment, like, follow in other channels. Thank you very much. And if you have any question, any suggestion, you can contact through the channels in the description or through the comments. You can also pass any question you wish you think you can solve. And if you need assistance in any studies, contact through those channels. Thank you very much.